This beautiful young woman is about to go on trial for her life, accused of the savage, frenzied murder of her ex-boyfriend.
I know that I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent.
From the start of their courtship, friends say, Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander had a potent chemistry. Arias, 26, was a blonde, beautiful and seemingly carefree aspiring photographer. Alexander was a 29-year-old motivational speaker, salesman and devout Mormon. Friends said the connection was instant when they met. She was really excited about the relationship. She loved how funny he was, how much fun they would have together. Travis loved to take adventures and do different things, said Alexander's friend Sky Lovingear Hughes. Although they lived in different states, he was in Mesa, Arizona, and she was in Palm Desert, California. They maintained a long-distance relationship for a few months and would meet at the Mesa.
She says a man and a woman wearing masks burst into the home and attacked both of them. Jodi claims she fled, but was too terrified to call the police.
I'm not proud that I just...
California, home of Lovingear Hughes and her then-husband Chris Hughes, but Alexander's friends told 2020 that they started noticing red flags with Arias early on in the relationship. They said they'd alerted Alexander to their concerns and that they'd even grown concerned for his safety as things grew toxic and volatile between the two. I started seeing things that were just disturbing, Lovingear Hughes said. I said, Travis, I'm afraid we're gonna find you chopped up in her freezer.
Talking about Travis Alexander, a popular motivational speaker she dated for 5 months. The steamy affair with Jodi Arias came to an end last year when she says she discovered he was cheating.
It wasn't very pretty. Breakups are never easy, but that sort of signified the end of our relationship.
Last June, Travis was brutally murdered.
From very early on, she was completely obsessed with him. Alexander was found dead on June 9, 2008, more than a year after he and Arias had connected, and after those close to Alexander believed the relationship was finally over. He'd been stabbed multiple times and had a gunshot to the head. The murder was a shock to friends and family, and the scintillating details that came out of the case kept the story in the media for years as Arias, authorities' prime suspect, awaited trial. She was eventually convicted of his murder. Arias was looking for opportunities with a network marketing company called Prepaid Legal Services Incorporated when she met Travis Alexander at a company convention in Las Vegas in September 2006. The two hit it off, with Alexander even inviting Arias to the company's formal executive dinner as his guest. She's beautiful. She's friendly, has long, blonde hair. Cute figure. She was very sweet, Lovingear Hughes said of Arias. During the dinner, they just talked the whole time. She seemed to like him as much as he liked her. Hughes, another close friend of Alexander's, said Alexander was smitten. After the dinner, Alexander and Arias talked with each other until 4 a.m. the next morning. He tells me that he's found his wife and this is the girl that he wants to marry. Lovingear Hughes said, it was cute, you know? I mean, I was, like, okay. I mean, like, good for you, Travis. It was cute to watch, Hughes said. After the convention, once Alexander and Arias began seeing more of each other, they traveled to popular sites in the Southwest. Arias documented online their time together, posting photos to social media. There was trouble, however, in the blossoming romance. Alexander was deeply involved in his faith and she was not Mormon. Unbeknownst to friends, the two were having premarital sex, breaking one of the most important tenets of the Mormon faith. Colleen McDaniel, a professor of religious studies at the University of Utah, told 2020 that for Mormons, sex and sexual activity outside of the bounds of marriage are forbidden. Being true to his religion was incredibly important to Alexander, and the guilt he felt about their relationship started to weigh on him, friends said. Alexander maintained a blog called Travis Alexander's Being Better blog. In a post, he wrote candidly about his early life. For example, he wrote about a difficult childhood while growing up in Southern California with his parents, who were addicted to drugs at that time. It was a very tough life living with our mother, Stephen Alexander said. We kind of fended for ourselves.
For the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis.
At her sentencing Monday, Jodi Arias apologized to the grieving family of Travis Alexander, the ex-boyfriend she was convicted of murdering.
I'm truly disgusted and I'm repulsed with myself. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it back.
Alexander's 3 sisters also spoke. They sobbed as they pleaded with the judge to show Arias no mercy.
I see the pain in our faces and the tears we've cried, and it never stops.
Instant noodles was the main source of nutrition. In his blog, Alexander wrote, "When you sleep for 4 days with a house full of kids, there isn't any food cooked. We would eat what was there, but before long what was edible would be eaten or rot, and then what was rotten would be eaten too." Alexander's grandmother eventually took him and his siblings in, and began clothing and feeding them. Stephen Alexander said, soon after Alexander met Arias, he sent missionaries to her home. He also talked about the Book of Mormon with her and quoted scripture to her. Within months of their meeting, Arias converted to Mormonism.
To be slaughtered at the hands of 2 other people, I'm not proud of that at all.
You understand, you look guilty here.
I understand that everything, all of the evidence against me right now is very compelling.
What really happened in there?
In a nutshell, 2 people.
He baptized her. It was emotional. It was spiritual. It was powerful. It's a feeling that, like everything, just comes right into alignment and nothing can go wrong, Arias said in a 2008 interview with ABC News. Hughes said that Alexander still struggled and suffered with guilt over the fact that he and Arias were having sex. They are both sinning in the eyes of his church. Travis wanted to marry a virginal, pure Mormon girl, and by having sex with him, Jodi eliminated herself as ever being marriage potential for Travis, said Shana Hogan, an author and journalist who wrote the book Picture Perfect, The Jodi Arias Story. Early on, Alexander's friends began noticing odd behavior from Arias, particularly her infatuation with their friend. "One night we're all in the hot tub and there's 4 of us. You know, this is a time to chat and hang out. Well, Jodi is, like, climbing on Travis while we're trying to have this conversation," Hughes said. "She was all over him. I mean, like 8th graders whose parents are out of town, like, straddling his lap and sucking on his neck. And Travis just kept pushing her off and he's like, 'Jodi, get off me.' Like, 'What are you doing?' And I look at Chris, Hughes, and I'm like, 'Does she not realize we're sitting here?'" Loving Ear Hughes recalled. "This is around the time where she became very possessive of him. That was one of those nights where, like, she's weird. You know, like this is weird," Hughes said. Alexander's friend Clancy Talbot said Arias was very possessive. She just had to sit right by him. She didn't appreciate when he was talking to another female. She didn't like the fact that if there was anyone that didn't know that they were together. She wanted to make that clear, Talbot said. As his friends got to know her better, they said they grew increasingly creeped out by Arias' behavior. Loving Ear Hughes said that Arias would follow Alexander to the bathroom and stand outside the door or eavesdrop on his conversations. Hughes said she went through Alexander's cell phone on multiple occasions as well as his emails and social media accounts. Loving Ear Hughes added Arias would go so far as to forward emails between Alexander and other women to herself. "I said, 'Travis, I'm afraid we're gonna find you chopped up in her freezer.'" Hughes said that he and Loving Ear Hughes talked with Alexander about their concerns. One day, they said they sat him down and told him they thought Arias was dangerous. But Hughes and Loving Ear Hughes said Alexander rebuffed their concerns, telling them he thought Arias was good and sweet and that he really liked her. "All of a sudden I got this cold feeling over me and I knew she was outside our door. I mouthed to them and pointed at the door and I said, 'She's out there,'" Loving Ear Hughes said. Alexander didn't believe them, but when he opened the door suddenly, he found Arias standing on the other side, Hughes and Loving Ear Hughes said. Loving Ear Hughes described the look on Arias' face as evil. There was a rage in her eyes. "Sky and I are very frightened at this point. She might burn down our house, you know, with all of us in it," Hughes said. After 5 months together, Alexander broke up with Arias. Weeks later, she moved to Mesa, where he was living. His friends were baffled. His friends said Arias would show up to his house unannounced and let herself in through the garage door because she knew the code, according to Brian Skoloff, who co-wrote a book about the Arias case called Killer Girlfriend, The Jodi Arias Story. Skoloff said Alexander told friends she'd even snuck into his house through a doggy door. Sometimes Travis would be angry and other times he would jump into bed right with her and they would have sex, Hogan said. Meanwhile, Alexander began dating a woman named Lisa, Loving Ear Hughes said. Arias, she said, would try scaring Lisa by knocking on her door and windows before running away. Alexander's friend said his tires were slashed on 2 occasions while he was dating Lisa, and that he and his friends believed Arias was the one behind it. When Alexander confronted her with his suspicions, she denied it, Hogan said. By April 2008, after living in Mesa for about 8 months, Arias returned to her family in Eureka. California. I was excited and Travis was excited, loving ear Hughes said. He said, I'm getting my life back. Like, this is a whole new start. She's gone. Despite this change, unbeknownst to his friends, Arias and Alexander continued communicating via phone and texts and engaging in phone sex. Stephen Alexander said Arias was his brother's kryptonite. But in May 2008, although the reasons were unclear, GART and text messages revealed the two were in the midst of a huge fight, according to Jane Velez Mitchell, author of Exposed, The Secret Life of Jodi Arias. At one point, Alexander wrote, "You don't know what horror you have caused me. It wasn't really my intention to harm you," she responded. He later called her a sociopath and the lowest of the low. In early June 2008, Alexander had plans to attend a company retreat in Cancun, Mexico, with a Mormon woman he was pursuing named Mimi. The Hugheses had already gotten to Cancun and were trying to plan activities for when Alexander and Mimi arrived. I'm calling him and I'm texting him. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? He wasn't responding. Hughes said, when Alexander missed a conference call that he was supposed to be leading, the Hugheses grew worried and left him a voicemail. I said, T-Dog, you better be dead, bro, yeah, like I was joking. Call me back. You know, why are you dissing me? Why aren't you calling me back? I said to Sky, something's wrong, Hughes said. By June 9, 2008, it had been 5 days since his friends had heard from him. Mimi, who hadn't left for the trip yet, and 2 others headed to Travis Alexander's home. A friend gave them the garage code to get them into the house, where they found one of his roommates named Zach Billings. They asked him, hey, have you seen or heard from Travis? He said, no. He's in Mexico. And Mimi said, he's not in Mexico. I'm supposed to go with him to Mexico tomorrow, loving ear Hughes said. Billings opened the door to Alexander's room and entered, finding a puddle of blood on the carpet. He continued down the hallway to the bathroom, where he discovered Alexander's body crumpled up in the shower. The friends then called 911. When Mesa Police Detective Esteban Flores arrived on the scene, he told 2020th that blood was everywhere. The first thing I thought was there was a major struggle in here. That it was deeply personal, Flores said. Somebody knew him. Somebody wanted him dead. Somebody wanted to make sure that he was dead. Authorities later determined that Alexander had been dead for days. He had been stabbed at least 27 times, his throat had been cut ear to ear, and he had also been shot in the head. Police found a bloody palm print outside of Alexander's bedroom, long brown hairs on the floor and walls of the bathroom that only he used, and a camera in the home's washing machine. When the Hugheses got the news, Chris Hughes said, I remember just saying, almost howling, no, 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 and oh my gosh. How did this happen? It was just shock. I couldn't feel anything. I was sitting in the room by myself, and it hit me that Travis was gone, loving ear Hughes said. Within hours of Alexander's body being found, Arias called the police to ask about the case. Flores said Arias told him that she'd spoken briefly to Alexander the day he was killed as she was driving to Utah to see a new guy she was dating. During their conversations, Flores told Arias that her name had come up repeatedly during the investigation. She was a stalker. She was an ex-girlfriend and she wouldn't leave Travis alone, he said Alexander's friends had told him. Arias denied being in Arizona at the time of Alexander's slaying. He said, when she went to Arizona for Alexander's memorial service, she agreed to be fingerprinted by the police. Computer forensic investigators then made a shocking discovery. They had analyzed the memory card of the camera they found in Alexander's washing machine and found photographs of him and Arias timestamped from the day of the murder. Flores said, authorities later learned that the blood from the palm print belonged to both Alexander and Arias. Flores and police traveled to Eureka, California, to arrest her. During her police interrogations, Arias tried to explain why she had arrived a day late to Utah to see her new love interest. She had been expected on June 4, but arrived a full day later. She told police that her phone had died and she'd gotten lost on the road. Ryan Burns, the man she was visiting in Utah, told police he tried to reach her 3 or 4 times and that each time the call had gone to voicemail. Flores learned that a .25 caliber gun had gone missing from the home of Arias' grandparents about a week before the killing. The caliber of the grandparents' gun matched the caliber of the bullet casing that had been found on Alexander's bathroom floor. As he questioned her, Flores showed Arias graphic photographs of her and Alexander just hours before he'd been killed. Arias continued to deny any involvement in the killing. No matter how much evidence I would tell her about, she was not going to admit that she was even there, he said. The next day, after a night in jail, Arias admitted to investigators that she had been at Alexander's home the day he was killed. Arias claimed that she'd arrived at 3 a.m. and that they'd slept and had sex. She claimed that later on, while she was taking photographs of him in the shower, they were attacked by two masked intruders, a man and a woman, who were bent on killing Alexander. She said that one of the masked intruders had told her to leave and threatened to kill her family if she ever mentioned the incident to anyone. Authorities didn't believe her story. She was charged with first-degree murder in Alexander's death. Arias remained in prison for more than 4 years while awaiting trial. In January 2013, her death penalty trial started. On the witness stand, Arias told the court an entirely different story than the two previous ones she'd told investigators. She testified to killing Alexander but claimed that it was done in self-defense after he became angry when she dropped the camera that authorities later found in the washing machine. She claimed Alexander had abused her on several previous occasions. She also claimed that she'd found him masturbating to a photograph of a child. There was absolutely no proof that Travis had ever been physically abusive with her or anyone in his life in the past. None of these claims were ever proven. Police never found child pornography anywhere in Travis' house. Skoloff said, "Her mission was basically to murder my brother again for a second time by destroying his reputation," Stephen Alexander said. "The self-defense story was just a joke. My brother didn't even own a gun." In May 2013, the jury found Arias guilty of first-degree murder in Alexander's death. "Everybody in my family was bawling. They were happy. We were all hugging and just was preparing for the next phase." The sentencing phase, Stephen Alexander said, a judge sentenced Arias to life in prison without the possibility of parole after 2 juries could not agree on whether to sentence her to death. Arias told ABC News in a 2013 interview that she was shell-shocked by her conviction. "I was really hoping the jury would see things for what they are. I didn't expect to walk away. I knew that was a possibility, a slim chance, in a parallel universe somewhere, but certainly not first degree," she said. Arias remains in Perryville Prison in Arizona, awaiting a decision on her appeal. As time has passed, Stephen Alexander says he's tried not to think of Arias. "I've kind of let that part go. Travis should have a couple of kids," he said. "He should have a beautiful wife. He should have a beautiful home. He should have absolute happiness. And he should have that beautiful smile that was on his face all the time." Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and wish to see more, click the subscribe button alongside with the notification bell. You can also like the video and comment to let us know about your thought on this case, as well as if you want us to cover any other one.